Assessment 2. Digital Presentation. In this presentation, I'm going to explain one development theory and one learning theory. First, I will look at a development theory. The development theory I'm going to explain is Kohlberg's theory of moral development. First, background. Lawrence Kohlberg was interested in Jean Piaget's work, and he began interviewing children and adolescents on moral issues. Kohlberg believed that the development of moral reasoning was closely linked to cognitive development. To prove this, he carried out research using various hypothetical moral dilemmas. One of his famous dilemmas is the Heinz dilemma. Story of Heinz. Heinz's wife was dying from a particular cancer. There was only one drug that could save her. A pharmacist in the neighboring town has discovered this drug using radium, so the production cost was very high. On top of that, the pharmacist charged 10 times of the production cost, so the single dose is sold at $2,000. Heinz did everything he could, but he could only collect $1,000. Then Heinz went to the pharmacist, told about his wife's condition, offered the $1,000 and promised to pay the rest later. Nevertheless, the pharmacist did not agree with Heinz's terms. So finally, to save his wife, Heinz decided to break into the pharmacy and steal the drug. Looking at the entire story of Heinz, Kohlberg asked his participants, should Heinz do that or not? Based on the answers of research participants, Kohlberg came up with Kohlberg's stage theory. Structure of Kohlberg's stage theory. Kohlberg's stage theory consists of 3 levels. Level 1, pre-conventional morality. Level 2, conventional morality. And level 3, post-conventional morality. Further, each level is divided into 2 substages, so altogether there are 6 stages in Kohlberg's stage theory. Let us discuss each stage based on Heinz's dilemma. In stage 1, children are obedient because they are fearful of punishment. So children in stage 1 think stealing is wrong, so Heinz is wrong. When they move on to stage 2, they begin to act by individual interest. Based on their interest, they begin to think there may be different views on a single issue. So they think the chemist was unfair and Heinz was right. When children reach level 2, older children and adolescents start to see themselves as a conventional member of the society. In stage 3, family commitment trust is essential to children, so they also think it is okay for Heinz to steal the drug. At stage 4, obeying society's law in order to maintain law and order becomes more prominent, so breaking law will create conflicts in the society. Teenagers in this level think Heinz was wrong. Individuals who reached post-conventional morality have a broader view of what is best for society, and they look for promoting justice in the society. They question whether laws are fair to all. At stage 5, people will say it is right to steal the drug because the right to life is valuable above all else. They can also argue that it is wrong to steal the drug because stealing prevents everyone from benefiting the drug. Kohlberg discarded the final stage because very few people reach this stage. Relevance. Kohlberg's stage of moral development is a beneficial theory in understanding how moral reasoning progresses over time. Nevertheless, there are several shortcomings. The first shortcoming is moral reasoning versus moral behavior. Cognitive approaches identify that our reasoning or understanding is a driving force for our behavior. But people's capability to reason morally is not necessarily associated with their behavior. There are many examples we can take from our day-to-day life to prove this, that we think we are going to do this, but in practice we don't do that. The second shortcoming is problems associated with stages. An individual's moral reasoning stage may differ depending on the circumstances or personal state. Take car park dilemma for an example. If the individual is going to be punished, the moral reasoning is lower. The third shortcoming is the cultural consideration. Kohlberg has conducted his research in Western cultures, but the results could be different if it is applied across other cultures such as Japan or India. Finally, gender roles. Kohlberg's moral dilemmas are predominantly male-oriented. If it is a female figure, the moral reasoning would have been different. Applications. Better understanding about moral reasoning of students in the classroom helps to develop moral reasoning of students, and it helps to plan classroom activities, and it helps to create classroom rules that are suitable for moral stages of students. Moreover, understanding moral reasoning stages of students help to identify strategies to build up faith in students. Next, I'm going to talk about a learning theory. Bandura's social cognitive theory is a theory I'm going to explain. First, the background. Albert Bandura was drawn to explanations of learning based on vicarious experience, modeling, and imitation. In Stanford University, he started a program of research investigating the determinants and mechanisms of observation learning. He showed that observation learning could occur without any reinforcement through his experiments. Bobertall experiment is one of the famous experiments in Bandura's studies of children and aggression. A control group of children watched an adult behaving aggressively with a Bobertall, including verbal aggression and physical aggression. Like hitting and kicking. Another group of kids watched an adult behaving non-aggressively. Also, another group did not watch anything. Without any trial and error learning or reinforcement, children who watch aggressive behavior imitate the same words and actions towards the Bobertall. Those who observed a non-aggressive model behaved nicely. Through this experiment, Bandura demonstrated that children could learn vicariously by observing the behavior and consequence for others. Bandura, 1986, combined cognitive process with external environmental factors to suggest that cognitive process such as attention to the behavior and retention of the behavior were necessary for the person to reproduce those behaviors. Structure. Bandura introduced a triadic model called reciprocal determinism to explain the intertwined relationship between cognition factors, behavioral factors, and environmental factors. These factors do not influence each other equally. Depending on the situation, one factor of the triadic model becomes stronger than other. Let us explain reciprocal determinism using a simple example. A teacher is teaching in a classroom. It is an environmental factor. Because of the teaching environment, students are paying attention and students are engaged in the lesson, which is a cognitive factor. So the environment factor leads to a cognitive factor. While students are paying attention, few wants to clarify a problem. So they raise their hands. This is a behavioral factor. So the cognitive factor leads to a behavioral factor. Then the teacher starts to teach the topic again, which is a change in the environment. The behavioral factor leads to an environmental factor. Now let us see how the factors influence each other in the reverse direction. The teacher gives a homework and tells there will be a punishment for those who neglect. It is an environmental factor. A student starts studying at home to do the homework in fear of the punishment. So it is a behavioral change in the student. So environmental factor caused a behavioral change. As the student's behavior changed to study at home, her knowledge improves. It is a cognitive development. So behavioral change influences cognitive factors. Now the student spends most of the time in the library. It is an environmental factor. So finally, cognitive factors influence environmental factors. Relevance of Bandura's social cognitive theory. Bandura introduced a broader range of factors that influence learning. Through reciprocal determinism, self-regulation theories could be explained. Media as source of influence on human behavior can be broadly studied using Bandura's social cognitive theory. However, explanations on vicarious learning are identified as shortcomings of social cognitive theory. Because Bandura observed the behavior of children immediately after observing a model, how long will children remember this after observing, and how it will change after observing a different behavior in the same situation were not addressed. Applications. Social cognitive theory in the classroom. Reciprocal determinism helps teachers to have a better overall view about students' learning as the ultimate results of several intertwined factors. Teachers can achieve better classroom management and productive learning environment by using observation and modeling techniques. Teachers can develop student self-efficacy and self-regulation by using influencing factors in reciprocal determinism model. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening.